and welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. We're really excited to have you here today.
Absolutely. It's always great to connect with our listeners.
So, if you're a property owner or thinking about investing in rentals, you might be wondering how to attract the best tenants.
Right. Staging your rentals can make a huge difference, not just in attracting tenants, but also in getting better rental prices.
Exactly. Today, we're going to dive into some practical tips for staging your rental properties effectively.
We'll cover things like the importance of curb appeal, how to create inviting spaces inside, and even some cost-effective staging ideas.
And we'll also talk about how these strategies can lead to lower vacancy rates and happier tenants.
Plus, we'll share some real-life examples from our experiences that can really help you visualize what works.
So whether you're just starting out or looking to refresh your existing rentals, we've got you covered.
Let's jump right in.
Yeah. First off, let's talk about curb appeal. It's so important, right?
Sarah, one of the biggest reasons staging rentals is so crucial right now is because, well, a lot of folks over 40 are really starting to think about their retirement timelines.
Absolutely, Mike. It's like they're not just looking to get by, but rather to build a solid nest egg that lasts. Staging can really help in that, right?
Exactly. Consider this. When you present a rental property beautifully staged, it tends to attract better tenants. And better tenants mean fewer headaches down the line. Less turnover, less maintenance, all that stuff.
Right. So it's not just about making a place look good. It's about creating a stable income stream that can bolster your retirement plans.
Yes. And with inflation being such a hot topic these days, having an attractive rental can help you keep up with rising costs. If you can secure a solid tenant willing to pay a bit more for a well-presented space, that's a win-win.
For sure. And I think there's this emotional aspect too. When you know your property is desirable, it just gives you peace of mind, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I remember a client of mine, let's call him Tom. He was nearing retirement and had a couple of rental properties. They were decent, but not really appealing. Once he staged them, he not only attracted higher-paying tenants, but also felt more confident about his financial future.
That makes so much sense. When your properties are performing well, it's like this weight is lifted off your shoulders.
Exactly. And let's not forget about market shifts. The rental market is evolving. People are looking for more than just a roof over their heads. They want a lifestyle. Staging can help showcase that lifestyle.
Yes! Like say you have a 2-bedroom apartment in a bustling part of town. If it's staged with good furniture, cozy decor, it shows potential tenants how they could actually live there.
Right. It's all about creating that emotional connection. I once staged a place for a client who was initially skeptical. After we transformed the space, she had multiple applications within days.
Wow, that's impressive. Did she end up getting a higher rent?
Definitely. She was able to increase her rent by about 15% compared to what she was charging before. And the tenants she found were really committed, which meant less turnover.
And less turnover saves money too, right? It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. You save on advertising costs, cleaning, repairs, all of that adds up. Plus, it's less stress for landlords.
So you're really setting yourself up for success, especially when thinking about wealth transfer to family. If you have a solid rental property that's well managed, it's something you can pass down.
That's a great point. Properties in good condition and with a good reputation can be an incredible legacy for your kids or grandkids. It's about building long-term wealth, not just for yourself, but for your family too.
And with the current economic trends, it's essential to think long-term. We hear so much about market volatility these days. Staging can give you that edge, making your property stand out even when the market gets tough.
Exactly. Plus, it's about being proactive. Instead of waiting for the market to dictate your success, you're taking control of your investment.
Right. And I think that's so empowering for people over 40, especially when they've been working hard to build their wealth. It's about making smart moves now to secure that future.
Absolutely. I had another client, let's call her Lisa, who was in her early 50s and feeling the pressure of planning for retirement. After staging her rental, she noticed a significant increase in interest. She even had tenants who were willing to sign longer leases, which provided her with more stability.
That's the kind of security that really eases your mind. And when you think about how many people are concerned about having enough in retirement, it's a game changer.
For sure. A well-staged rental can act as a buffer against economic uncertainty. When you have that steady cash flow, it allows you to focus on other areas of your life: travel, hobbies, spending time with family.
And not to mention, it gives you the freedom to enjoy life without constantly worrying about finances.
Exactly, it's all interconnected. The emotional side of financial security cannot be overstated. When you feel secure in your investments, it gives you the confidence to pursue your dreams.
Absolutely. And that's why we're talking about staging today. It's not just a cosmetic fix, it's a strategic move that can really impact your financial future.
Well put, Sarah. And this leads us perfectly into some core strategies for staging your rentals effectively.
Right. Let's dive into those practical tips that our listeners can implement right away.
So when it comes to staging rentals, the first thing to keep in mind is that you really want to create a space that feels inviting, you know? A tenant should walk in and immediately envision themselves living there.
Absolutely, Mike. So what are some practical steps a landlord can take to achieve that?
Well, one simple approach is to declutter the space. Removing personal items and excess furniture can really open up the room. It makes it feel larger and more accessible.
Right, so less is more then. What about color? Does that play a role in staging?
Definitely. Neutral colors are usually the way to go. They appeal to a wider audience and create a calm atmosphere. Think soft grays, beiges, or whites. You want it to be a blank canvas for potential tenants to imagine their own decor.
That makes sense. So after decluttering and painting, what's next?
Well, staging furniture is key. If you can, use furniture that's scaled to the space. You don't want oversized couches in a small living room. It just makes the space feel cramped.
And it's all about the flow, right? You want people to be able to move easily through the space.
Exactly. Think about how a tenant would use the space. Arrange the furniture to highlight the positive aspects, like a nice view from the window or a cozy corner for reading.
What about lighting? I've heard that can really set the mood.
Oh, for sure. Good lighting can make a huge difference. Use a mix of overhead lights and lamps to create warmth, and if you have natural light, don't block it. Pull back those curtains, let the sun in.
So it sounds like you really want to create an inviting atmosphere. What about outdoor spaces?
Great point. If you have a patio or garden, stage that too. Make it inviting. Maybe add a small table and chairs or some potted plants. It can be a real selling point, especially if you're in an area where outdoor living is appealing.
Nice. And when it comes to costs, how much should someone expect to invest in staging?
It can vary widely, but a good rule of thumb is to budget about 1 to 3% of the property's value for staging. So if you have a $300,000 rental, you're looking at around $3,000 to $9,000.
That's actually not too bad when you think about the return on investment.
Absolutely. If you can attract better tenants and minimize vacancy periods, it pays for itself. And remember, good staging can justify higher rent too.
Speaking of rent, let's talk about the 1% rule. How does that fit in here?
The 1% rule says that you should aim to rent your property for about 1% of its purchase price per month. If you buy a property for $200,000, you'd want to charge around $2,000 a month in rent.
That's a good benchmark. But if you can stage your property well, maybe you can even exceed that benchmark, right?
Exactly. If you stage it right and create demand, you could charge more than just the base 1%.
And what about the 50% rule?
The 50% rule is a quick way to estimate your expenses. You assume that about 50% of your rental income will go toward operating expenses. Things like maintenance, property management, and vacancies.
So if your rent is $2,000 a month, you'd budget $1,000 for expenses?
Right, which leaves you with $1,000 for your cash flow. It's a simple way to gauge financial feasibility.
That's such helpful advice. Now, what about the cap rate? How does that tie into staging?
The cap rate is a measure of return on an investment property. It's calculated by taking the net operating income divided by the property value. Staging can improve your net operating income by increasing rent, which can positively impact your cap rate.
So if your net operating income increases because of better tenants, your cap rate improves, which makes the property more attractive to future investors.
Exactly. A higher cap rate can mean more interest from buyers down the line if you ever decide to sell.
That's a great incentive to put effort into staging. Now, how can someone evaluate a deal to see if it's worth staging?
Good question. Start with a checklist. Look at the property's location, condition, and the local rental market. Are there comparable properties in the area? What are they renting for?
And if they're staging their rentals, that could be a deciding factor, right?
For sure. If you notice that the competition is staging and getting higher rents, that's a clear signal that you should consider it too.
And financing options? What should someone think about if they want to invest in staging?
You can use your rental income to fund staging, but some investors also consider financing options, like personal loans or home equity lines of credit if they need upfront cash. Just be cautious about taking on too much debt.
Yeah, it's all about balancing the investment without stretching yourself too thin.
Absolutely. And remember, staging is just one part of a larger strategy. You want to look at the overall picture, how it fits into your long-term investment goals.
That's solid advice. Before we wrap up this part, are there any common pitfalls to watch out for?
Yes. One major pitfall is over-personalizing the space. You want it to feel neutral, not like someone's home. And don't underestimate the power of first impressions. If the exterior isn't appealing, potential tenants may not even step inside.
Great points, Mike. It's all about creating an inviting atmosphere without going overboard.
Exactly. And remember, the goal is to attract great tenants who will pay good rent and stay long-term.
Well, I'm excited to dive deeper into those common pitfalls next.
So, one of the biggest pitfalls I see, especially with newer investors, is over-leveraging. They get excited about a property and, well, they stretch their finances too thin just to get that deal.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they think the more they borrow, the more they can earn, right? But what happens when things don't go as planned?
Exactly. I had a friend who bought a duplex in a rising market. He thought he was getting a steal, but he maxed out his mortgage. Then the market shifted a bit, and suddenly he was underwater. It was a tough lesson.
Ouch! That's got to be stressful. So how can someone avoid that?
Well, first off, really understanding your financial limits is crucial. Look at your cash flow, not just the potential rental income. And, have a buffer for unexpected expenses.
Like repairs or vacancies?
Right, exactly. And speaking of which, another common mistake is not screening tenants properly. Some investors are so eager to fill a vacancy that they overlook the importance of a thorough background check.
That can backfire, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I had a colleague who rushed to rent out a property to the first applicant. Turned out the tenant had a history of late payments. He ended up dealing with months of non-payment and costly eviction processes.
Wow, that's a nightmare. So what should investors look for when screening tenants?
Well, it's essential to check their credit history, rental history, and employment status. A solid application process can save a lot of headaches down the line. And, trust your gut instinct, too. If something feels off, it probably is.
That's great advice. And what about cash flow? I imagine a lot of people ignore that too.
Yes, cash flow is crucial. Many investors focus too much on appreciation and forget that positive cash flow is what keeps your business running. I once consulted with an investor who bought a property based solely on its potential future value, but the rent didn't cover the mortgage, and he quickly found himself in a tough spot.
So it's about balancing both aspects, right?
Definitely. You want a property that not only has growth potential, but also provides steady income. Always calculate your expenses versus your rental income before making a purchase. Don't let excitement cloud your judgment.
That's a huge takeaway. And I guess timing the market is another common pitfall.
Oh, for sure. Many investors try to time the market, thinking they can buy low and sell high. But the truth is, it's nearly impossible to predict market shifts.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Markets can change so quickly.
Exactly. I had a client who waited for what he thought was the perfect moment to buy in a popular area. But by the time he decided to jump in, prices had already skyrocketed. He missed out on a great opportunity because he was so fixated on timing.
So what's the best approach instead?
Consistency is key. Focus on long-term investment strategies rather than trying to time the market. Invest in properties that make sense for you right now. regardless of market conditions.
That's solid advice. What about hidden costs? I imagine those can really catch people off guard.
Oh, absolutely. It's essential to factor in all potential costs, like maintenance, property management fees, insurance, and even taxes. I had an investor who bought a property thinking it was a great deal, but he didn't account for necessary repairs. It ended up costing him thousands just to get it rent ready.
That sounds frustrating. So what can investors do to avoid those hidden costs?
Well, do a thorough inspection before buying and get estimates for any repairs or renovations needed. It's also wise to budget for unexpected expenses. Having a reserve fund can really help ease the pain when surprises arise.
That's a good point. It's like having a safety net, right?
Exactly. And if you find yourself in a situation where you've fallen into one of these pitfalls, don't panic. There are always steps you can take to recover.
Like what?
First, reassess your finances. If you're over-leveraged, consider refinancing or restructuring your loans. For bad tenants, it might mean improving your screening process and, if needed, working with a property management company that can help find reliable tenants.
And for hidden costs?
Reevaluate your budget, and don't be afraid to reach out to professionals, like contractors or property managers, who can give you a clearer picture of what to expect. It's all about being proactive and informed.
Such great insights, Mike. It really shows that with careful planning and awareness, many of these common mistakes can be avoided.
Absolutely. And I think the key takeaway is to always stay informed and be willing to learn from each experience, whether it's a good or bad one. Real estate investing is a journey, and every step counts.
Really great advice, Mike. So, for our listeners who want to get started or improve their current strategies, what's the next step they should take?
I'd recommend starting with education. Read books, listen to podcasts, or even join local real estate investment groups. Surround yourself with experienced investors, and don't hesitate to ask questions. It's all about building a solid foundation before diving in.
That sounds like a perfect plan. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, Mike. I'm sure our listeners will find this information incredibly helpful as they navigate their own real estate journeys.
My pleasure, Sarah. It's always great to share insights and help others on their path to building wealth through real estate. All right, so let's dive into some immediate steps that our listeners can take to really start staging their rentals effectively and attract those better tenants.
Yeah, I think that's super important. So, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, I'd say start by assessing your current property. Just walk through it as if you were a potential tenant. Take notes on what needs a little sprucing up, or maybe even a complete overhaul.
That's a great idea. It's like putting yourself in their shoes. So after they've assessed their space, what's next?
Next, I'd recommend creating a checklist of items to improve. You can break it down into categories like curb appeal, interior design, and functionality. This way, you can tackle one section at a time instead of feeling overwhelmed.
That sounds manageable. And what about tools to help with that?
Absolutely. Apps like Zillow and Rentometer are super useful. They can give you insights into what similar properties in your area are renting for, which can help you set competitive prices.
Right. And understanding the market is so crucial. What about staging tools? Any recommendations?
Yes, there's a fantastic app called Deal Check. It helps you analyze properties and even gives you tips on how to increase value through staging and renovations. It's pretty user-friendly, too.
That's awesome. I can see how that would help a lot. Any other tools or resources they should consider?
Definitely. Local MLS access is invaluable. If you can partner with a realtor, they can provide you with detailed market analysis and insights that can inform your staging decisions.
So, if they're not already working with a realtor, that could be a great step to take. What about books or podcasts to deepen their knowledge?
Oh, for sure. I'd recommend the book on managing rental properties by Brandon Turner. It's packed with practical advice on managing and improving rental properties.
I love Brandon Turner. And what about podcasts?
You might want to check out Bigger Pockets Podcast. They have tons of episodes focused on real estate investing and staging, plus interviews with successful investors sharing their stories.
That's a goldmine of info. Now, what about habits? Are there small habits they could start to build?
For sure. I suggest analyzing at least one deal per week. Just pick a property, do some research, and see what you can learn from it. This practice will sharpen your skills over time.
That's such a good idea. And what about community? Should they look into local meetups or groups?
Absolutely. Joining a local real estate investment meetup can be invaluable. You get to network, share experiences, and learn from others who are in the same boat.
It's all about building that support network, isn't it?
Exactly. And even if you're just starting out, don't hesitate to ask questions. Everyone was a beginner at some point, and most people are happy to help.
I love that mindset. It makes it feel less daunting when you know you're not alone in this journey.
Right? And remember, you don't need to do everything at once. Start where you are and gradually implement these changes.
That's so encouraging. It's all about progress, not perfection. What's the last piece of advice you'd give them?
I'd say once you've made some improvements, consider staging your rental with some simple decor. It doesn't have to be expensive. A fresh coat of paint, some new fixtures, or even rearranging furniture can make a huge difference.
That's a fantastic tip. So it really comes down to taking those small, actionable steps and building from there.
Exactly. With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to move forward. Let's recap what we've covered today. Well, Sarah, what a great conversation we just had about staging rentals. I think there are a few key takeaways we should highlight for our listeners.
Absolutely, Mike. One of the biggest points was how important first impressions are. I mean, if a rental looks inviting, it can really attract quality tenants, right?
Exactly. And we also talked about the power of simple upgrades, like fresh paint or decluttering spaces. It doesn't have to break the bank to make a big difference.
Yes, and let's not forget about the role of lighting. Good lighting can really change the mood of a space, making it feel warmer and more welcoming.
And remember, staging isn't just about aesthetics. It's about helping potential tenants visualize their own lives in the space. That emotional connection can be a game changer.
For sure, Mike. It's all about creating an environment where tenants can see themselves and feel at home.
And ultimately, when you attract better tenants, you're not just filling a vacancy. You're setting yourself up for long-term success and stability in your investment.
Right. Building wealth through real estate is a journey. But with the right strategies, like effective staging, you can really make it work for you.
So listeners, if you found value in today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or your own takeaways, drop them in the comments.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone over 40 who's looking to invest in property. It could really help them on their journey.
Next time, we'll dive into how to price rental repairs correctly, a crucial topic that can save you money and boost your returns.
We can't wait to share that with you. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, every small step counts on your path to financial freedom.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.